Would you like to be somebody who understands how your brain, your body is always seeking homeostasis? So a balance between the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the left and the right. Then listen to the end of this video where I explain how your psyche will seek to sabotage you, essentially sabotage itself unconsciously after a success, for example, because it always seeks a balance. It wants to shed light on the dark. Yeah, so if you want to learn about that, listen to the full video. Before we start, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. Okay, so I've observed this very prevalent tendency for humans to sabotage themselves. And I've reflected and I've realized it also very frequently tends to happen after a success, after a positive outcome in life. One sort of seeks to bring oneself down, or almost with sort of the idea that some people might think that one does not deserve the success, or one tries to sabotage oneself in a way. And you have to think of it as kind of like a seesaw. If you want balance in life, you need to find a balance between the good and the bad. So if you have a success on the one hand, when you created something awesome, you need to balance it on the other hand with something unwanted, something dark, something unattractive, or else the seesaw will tilt and you will be out of balance. And your psyche will find a way to drop some weight onto the other side in order to bring it back, and it can tend to be a violent readjustment then. Now the thing is, this phenomenon, or this concept of balance, is monumental. It is prevalent, I think, in almost all aspects of life. It manipulates so many dynamics in life, so it's really crucial to grasp it. Okay, so I don't quite know why our psyche has the tendency to sabotage ourselves and sort of seek balance always, but I have a few suspicions. Obviously, one could assume there's a biological reasoning. You know how you are made up of energy. You know, you eat food and you transform those calories into energy to burn off them. That's simply, your body's like a bridge or an instrument for transforming energy. Or, for example, you know, after doing sport, you're tired, so you need to recover, you need to be idle. Or if you're outside in the cold, your body will seek to maintain its temperature by shivering, for example. It's always seeking a kind of balance, this equilibrium state. Now, the reason why I think one does that, humans do that biologically, is because we are part of nature, and nature is permanently oscillating between extremes, between poles, between good and bad, between natural catastrophe and peace. You know, or winter or summer, you know, day and night. It's always this dance between opposites, between opposite poles, and we are part of nature. You know, we evolved out of the earth. You know, hence we have derived the dynamic of nature and embody it within ourselves. Now, but the real question here is, why is there this unnegotiable need for expressing the darkness within ourselves, or to balance it, to sabotage ourselves in order to balance the good? Is it just a condition? Does it have a purpose? Is there some kind of value? Or, you know, that's really what's on in my mind. And I think there is a potential answer that I've come up with. I'm not sure if it's correct, but I think there is some kind of value. When you sabotage yourself, for example, let's make it a bit more tangible. For example, yesterday I delivered a presentation on pornography and how it affects lives, and I got a lot of good feedback. People really enjoyed it. People stayed after the workshop to just hang out. It was on Zoom online, and you know, 19 out of 22 or 21 people stayed for another 20 minutes afterwards just to hang out. I was like, wow, this is a sick vibe. I created something awesome. I got a lot of good feedback. But today I feel a bit exhausted. I feel like I was always running through my head how people interpreted it, sort of hoping it was cool. People thought I was cool, and it just made me feel like, I had to balance it. I was sort of, the success overwhelms me then. For example, like that. Or other thing is, maybe you have a success, but afterwards you go on a drunken rampage and just sort of make yourself feel bad about yourself afterwards. That's another example of how that can manifest itself practically. Okay, the thing is here, I think what's going on is that our unconscious mind is attempting to ground ourselves in the fundamental dualism of life, that the world is ambiguous and always balancing between opposites. It is trying to get you conscious, make you conscious of this sort of balancing, this need for balance, and that it's unnegotiable. It's trying to make you aware of it, essentially. It basically takes the role of the reminder. It's trying to remind you because there's serious utility in comprehending the dynamic of life and that it's always in balance. Because, this is interesting. I think if life were unidimensional and in some sense perfect, it would offer no room for adventure and beauty, because adventure requires both challenge, suffering, and rewards and excitement. It needs both the good and bad for it to be called an adventure. That's what an adventure entails. It is struggle, but also victory. And the same thing goes for beauty. Beauty derives its aesthetics in comparison to the ugly manifestations in life. That's where it gets its value from. And the same thing I think is with the meaning of life. The meaning is to be found in the combination of suffering, but also beauty and love. It needs that unification of opposites. Whereas if there was only one dimension, let's say everything was only attractive, by default nothing would be attractive, because it would all be the same. And you get the concept of attractiveness, or the value of attractiveness, is set up or is founded upon the ugliness that exists around the attractive thing. That's really interesting, yeah. So in conclusion, the reason why our psyche might try to balance a success by sabotaging ourselves afterwards, or sort of producing negative emotions, and because it is trying to ground you. Well, first of all, there's a biological tendency for it to do it, so it happens whether you like it or not. And the reason it might do it, the purpose behind it, is because it's trying to ground you and make you conscious of this balance in life and that need for balance, because because that is where you're supposed to be in life, something like that. That's where you find meaning. It's in balancing both the suffering and the victory. Something like that. Like, it's your unconscious mind is trying to tell you something. It's not a trivial phenomenon in life. It's not like, that's just the way it is. No, I think it has a meaning. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, whether you think there are any other reasons why our brain tries to sabotage itself and tries to balance it. Really, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.